From $35,000 in tenant losses to a better rental solution, screening and court-ordered arrears with OpenRoom. Have you ever been perfectly aligned with your values? For example, helping people, creating value in your unique ability, using technology to automate and provide transparency to landlords, getting specific now, provide transparency to landlords, screening tenants for court orders of rent owing. Well, that's Weiting Bollu of OpenRoom.ca, and she's today's guest on The Truth About Real Estate Investing for Canadians. Before we get to Weiting, Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Erwin Cito, host and creator of the show since 2016, real estate investor since 2005, investment specialist realtor since 2010, and leading a wonderful team to coach the most wonderful clients in the world to almost $500 million of income properties transactions. No pre-construction condos, no private lending. The black holes for investment these days. Anyways, just good old-fashioned houses on land. You know, for anyone who studied any of the basic economics knows that it's the hardness of assets is what matters. Hence, our clients' properties and my own, they're all on land, and they own the land that's on. And we focus on highest and best use practices to maximize cash flow and return on investment within a reasonable tolerance of effort and risk. Unfortunately, reasonable tolerance for effort and risk is no longer available in much of Canada, especially in the least affordable, tenant-friendly provinces of Canada, Ontario being by far the most challenging, both in Canada and North America. Our guest at Weiting will share in her own experience of massive losses, like I mentioned, over $35,000 by a tenant living in her own home. The tenant would not move out as Weiting was pregnant, and her husband were looking to move back into their property so they can, have back into the family home. But that didn't happen. Before we get to Weiting, it's been around 2-3 years for anyone investing in real estate or for those in the services who service real estate investors. It's affordability is at its worst. Interest rates are at historic highs. More investors than ever with negative cash flow and the worst cash flow they've ever seen. The saying was survive till 2025, 2-3 years ago. 2025 is now here. The time is now to thrive for those who invested properly, and I am excited to start 2025 right. I've blown up my morning routine. Actually, my morning routine was kind of not very good. I have a whole new one. I have a whole new one thanks to ChatGPT. I asked it to use what it knows about me and can custom design me a quote-unquote miracle morning, which is the book by Hal Elrod, which includes reading a self-development book, which I asked ChatGPT to recommend me one. It came back with The Gap and the Gain by Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach fame. I'm already feeling better. It's been now 4 days in a row of completing my morning routine, and I've needed that extra help as well to recover from jet lag after returning from China for 3 weeks, and by tomorrow it'll be 1 week that we've been back, and I'm pumped to keep the momentum going all the way through the entire year of 2025. To round out my miracle mornings, again, like I said, I want to continue this for the entire year. I'm going to create a custom 365 moderation. It's a play on the extreme 75 hard, which so many of my friends try. Personally, I like having the occasional social drink or slice of birthday cake on someone's birthday, or getting my money's worth when there's an open bar. For me, where I am in my life and for my research, I can get plenty of long-term quality of life with 30-60 minutes of cardio a couple times a week, plus some heavy lifting. Not too heavy. Never going to get back to challenging for the 1,000-pound challenge. Anyways, as for my research, it shows that the returns diminish from doing extra exercise. I've shared a copy of my morning routine in the show notes in case anyone's interested. It's about 2 pages. It's pretty cool stuff. I'm also posting a lot on my social media as well around this. So if you're looking to get out of the rut from the last few years and start 2025 right, I can't recommend enough that you follow me on social media and have a look at what I'm posting. My goals include quality and quantity of time with family and friends. I do not want to take away from it. Hence, I'm choosing to be a passive investor going forward. Share SFR, single family rental, the company I'm partnered with. They are continuing to handhold me through my Texas investments and all my U.S. investor clients, and that number is growing. We have dozens of clients, dozens of Canadian clients who are going through creating their U.S. entities as I speak, as they are all fed up with investing in Canada. Anyways, to accelerate my own investing in the U.S. While I maintain 100% ownership of the property and control, yet I do none of the work. I will pay share to do all the heavy lifting, and I'll stay out of their way. They are my who, not how. If you're a big Dan Sullivan fan like I am, I'm going to stay out of their way so I can focus on what I enjoy doing, and in my own unique abilities, which is helping Canadians achieve financial peace. I have, I forget the number now. It's been a while since I've been doing this show, since I'm back doing this show. I have somewhere over 45 clients who I've helped help them grow their net worth by over $1 million via Canadian real estate investing. And the way forward is Canadian investing for anyone who has read the writing on the wall. As such, we are offering a free U.S. property virtual tour on Saturday, January 18th via Zoom webinar. We will go over why our clients chose those locations, properties, the numbers. One of the properties is located in a state where non-payment of rent is a criminal offense. So what happened to Weiting would never have happened. We're going to share what the state is and the details of that property that my client owns. This is quite the polar opposite of anything in Canada. Saturday, January 25th, we're hosting an in-person and Zoom webinar. So it's a hybrid format on how to maximize the sale of your investment property, even if it's tenanted. This is a specialty of ours. It's what we focused on doing for the last about 2 years now, as many of our clients are looking to exit their Ontario properties, as the risk is not worth the reward. And we are, of course, veteran Ontario landlords ourselves. Myself, my colleague and I, who will be my colleague Tim Hong, who will be presenting along with me. He also has a property management business, and again, we've been in this business for a long time. Tim and I have both been investor-focused realtors since 2010. So we'll be sharing our secrets. Myself specifically, as you know, we've sold. My wife and I have sold 4 of our own properties this past year. Yeah, I won't get into politics. Anyways, we're going to share our best practices on how to sell investment properties for top dollar. With interest rates falling, the market improving, the time is now if for those who are interested in rebalancing their portfolios, especially with those with all the challenges going on at the landlord-tenant board. I don't see why people are waiting any longer to sell. These events that we're hosting, they're complimentary, as in no charge. It is my belief that education should be quality, affordable, and attainable. Hence, it's free and available both in person and Zoom webinar for the how to sell your investment property. The U.S. property tour will be virtually only. Again. Yeah, so back to what my wife and I did. We sold our own income properties. We sold 4 of them, just 4, and it took an average of 22 days to sell those properties. And again, we're both very happy with what our returns on investment and also the value that we sold them for. Yes, I know the Canadian dollar is not faring well versus the U.S. dollar, much like the rest of the world. The euro, the RMB, the currencies all over the world are not faring well against the U.S. dollar because their economy is just so much stronger, and they are the currency reserve of the world. Anyways, but keep in mind, our falling interest rates in Canada are part of the main driver why the U.S. dollar is outperforming the Canadian dollar. The cost, almost all of our clients are borrowing, so the cost of borrowing to finance your U.S. investment is getting cheaper, while the cost of buying U.S. dollars is getting more expensive. So it does partially offset each other. There is never a perfect time to invest, except for anyone buying U.S. property. I don't conceptually, theoretically, I think the timing is quite appropriate. Take the state of Texas, for example. Texas already had a price correction following the pandemic boom, right? Price correction. Now, prices have fallen quite a bit across Texas and other Sunbelt states. Now, with Elon Musk, quote unquote, in office, it's reasonable to believe Texas will outperform most U.S. states for price appreciation. Now, that's my prediction. The future will tell. This is not advice. Please seek professional advice. I'm not your professional financial advisor. But me personally, I think, again, you all know I'm willing to take this bet. We're looking to buy another house in Texas ASAP. On to this week's guest. I'm thrilled to announce Weiting, an unstoppable entrepreneur, speaker, and innovator reshaping the rental landscape in Ontario with plans to expand across Canada. After losing over $35,000 to a non-paying tenant and spending countless hours navigating Ontario's complex rental compliance laws, both Residential Tenancy Act and the Landlord-tenant Board, Weiting decided enough was enough. She co-founded OpenRoom.ca, a bold step toward building a transparent and connected rental ecosystem for tenants and landlords alike. And that wasn't enough. She's also a 24/7 mom to two little ones under 2 years old. Weiting describes parenthood as her most demanding role yet, while expertise in patience, roadmap planning, and improvisation. Did we mention the co-founder of OpenRoom is her husband? Yes, this is a family business, mixing both personal and business. Weiting shares about that as well, how it is to co-found a tech startup with her partner. She's been featured on major platforms like the CBC, CTV, BlockTO, BNN, Yahoo News, and of course, The Truth About Real Estate Investing. Her talks promise to not just be insightful, but also she's a funny person, as you'll soon learn. If you're looking for someone who's obsessed with making life easier for landlords while balancing humor and grit, you're in the right place. Let's dive into Weiting's incredible journey with OpenRoom.ca and the lessons she's learned along the way. To connect with Weiting, she's given her email, weiting@openroom.ca. Weiting is spelled Weiting. And she's very responsive on her social media at OpenRoomHQ on Instagram and TikTok. Website, of course, is openroom.ca. Please enjoy the show. Hi, Weiting. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, that's right. That's my name. Weiting Bollu.
What's keeping you busy these days?
These days, I am taking care of our two little ones who are under 2, 1 year old and 2 years old. So very busy on that front. And then building OpenRoom.ca.
So take us from the beginning. Can you walk us through the moment you realized you needed to create OpenRoom? How did your personal experience fuel your drive?
Oh, yeah. When my co-founder and I wanted to move into our property, which is a tenanted property, we asked our tenants at the time, hey, we want to move back in. Is it okay? We gave extra time. We gave compensation. They said no, and we are also not going to pay rent anymore. So that was about a 2-year ordeal. That turned into multiple times at the landlord and tenant board requesting for the eviction because my tenants were not payment of rent. It was about $35,000 of non-payment. And then from the LTB, the landlord tenant board, I had these court orders in my hand, or these LTB decisions. And I said, this is public information. Why isn't it known to the public? So that's the point when we said, you know what, Vishal, my co-founder, why don't we go build something? Because honestly, we build software for a living. Why don't we go build something? And that was when we decided, let's go give this a try.
I love technology.
I love it. I love technology. I spent the last decade of my career building for all sorts of companies, from AI to insurance to education tech. And I started my career in Bell Canada building the MyBell self-serve app.
So we've had Villa from Single Key on the show. We've had Zach on the show from Front Lobby. How come no one else has done this before?
It's not that people haven't done it. So if you look at CanLII, which is the Canadian Legal Information Institute, it actually has aggregated many orders from all sorts of courts throughout Canada. But the thing is, it's not timely and it is not completely relevant to the tenancy space itself. So when we look at it and we say, how can we get it to timeliness? Meaning, can it be as fresh as yesterday that I know someone has gotten evicted or someone has been through non-payment of rent? That's what we focus on. So if I dial it back a little, OpenRoom, we aggregate orders from all across Canada, all different types of courts, including the LTB, the Landlord-tenant Board, and then we extract the information from these court orders, and then we make it publicly searchable. So the top use case there is know who you're renting to and who you're renting from. So you do a search inside OpenRoom for name, address, legal reps, adjudicators, and you can see what pops up as an order.
So tell me about your own experience. You said 35,000 in rent arrears. So you had two reasons for the tenant to be leaving, for reasons to evict, non-payment, and also you're moving in.
Yes.
How long did what 35,000? Like, so from the notice, from the time you told them you're moving in, 35,000 of rental arrears occurred?
It was across 2 years. It wasn't when they first started non-payment of rent. It was at the beginning of the 2 years. It was more of giving them verbal notice, giving them a way advance notice that this is one day coming because I am interested in growing my family, just so that you can mentally prepare. But I think that I should not have done that and just went straight into more of the give the official notices. So 35,000, you break it down into, yeah, I gave $3,000, which is a month's rent for N12 personal use purposes, and then it was 3,000 and some change per month that I didn't get each month.
Wait, you had to pay them as well
Yes,
for
because
moving in and eat the rental arrears?
because my first request to them was, can you move out? Because I need it for personal use, right? So then I have to give the N12 for personal use first. And N12, what does that say in Ontario? You have to give, I think it was 180 days notice or it was 90 days notice, 90 days notice. And I gave 180 days. I remember doubling that amount, okay? Or was it 60 and 120? I forgot, but I doubled it. And then you also have to pay 1 month's rent, at least, yes.
So you paid them as well to
Yes,
leave.
I waived 1 month's rent. And then it became, I'm no longer going to pay rent, just overall. And that was so stressful, Erwin. It was one of the most stressful periods of my life, not just from non payment of rent, but when anybody goes to the landlord and tenant board, they know that it is mentally, physically, legally, financially stressful. So stressful, and it leaves you traumatized.
Did you do the online version or an in-person?
It was online.
Oh,
Yeah.
in-person is so much worse.
I have heard stories of people going in person. Some paralegals would talk to me and tell me about that, but I haven't gone in person.
I've been a landlord since 2005.
Yeah.
I've been in person. It is soul sucking. It is so depressing because you witness it firsthand how horrible some landlords are too.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then you realize that's why before we're recording, I was saying the good tenants are getting the shit end of the stick too
Right.
with the bankruptcy of the landlord tenant board.
Right. Which is so unfortunate because you look at all of the great renters out there, people who don't end up paying rent, and it then affects everybody in the rental ecosystem, right? Because then landlords are so scared right now to put up their rental properties. And these are the most affordable rental properties, too. So, take, for example, my dad. As an immigrant coming to Canada, we were low income. At the very beginning in 2000, when we first immigrated to Canada, we were living in Gerrard and River Street, 210 Oak Street. That is low income housing. I remember sleeping with cockroaches. And 4 years later, my dad had bought a bungalow. So in the basement, he would always rent it out because we needed a little bit more financial support. But now I cannot actually believe that my dad does not want to rent out his property, his basement properties. And these are the best properties that are most affordable to people who need rentals. He's just so traumatized by what I've gone through that he gets secondhand traumatized.
Right. Okay, so don't let him listen to this episode. So
But he already knows too much about what I've went through.
from a resale perspective, again, because again we're realtors, on the market, a house that is tenanted sells for $50,000 to $70,000 less than than the equivalent non-rented property, and also takes probably about it takes probably about 60% longer as well, right?
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that for the listeners? Like, why is that the case?
Because a lot of people are like you and your dad, or people don't even want to. Even before the pandemic, because even before the pandemic, it was still 3 to 4 months to get a hearing from the landlord tenant board for non-payment of rent. So already, like, Ontario has always been considered not friendly for landlords. And consistently, I've heard many people say they don't want to be a landlord because they don't want all the hassle and tenants trash places. I'm doing air quotes for the listener. Not all tenants trash places, but They know if the tenant doesn't pay rent, you are in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Okay, and especially if you can't afford it. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So the market. So then I always say to you're an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting. This is how you get the maximum value to sell your business. You pay your clients. You're paying clients to leave. Once you have no clients, your business is worth more money.
Isn't that crazy,
That's
right?
rental property in Ontario.
That is completely counterintuitive as an actual entrepreneur, but
Yeah, and business owner.
in the rental space in Ontario, that is actually the way to go, is have a non-tenanted
Yeah,
property, sell it, and let the next owner do its
yeah.
thing.
And then I was literally talking to a friend this week who had paid her cash for keys her tenant $30,000. And I'm like, that's the
Wow.
most I've heard. But in
Wow.
your case, you're out of pocket 35,000. At least my friend got the early, didn't have to wait all that long and all the stress of how long did it take? 2 years?
Overall, I would say like bundle it together. Yeah, 2
Right,
years from the start of when I
right,
was intentional to move out, wanting them to move out versus the actual eviction day,
right.
March 7th, 2022. I remember that day so vividly when the sheriff came for eviction.
And it went, you mentioned 7 stays. How?
Oh, not 7 stays, 7 orders inside OpenRoom. You can see exactly what they are,
Yeah.
but it was for the N12.
Mhm.
It was for an N4 that I had done incorrectly because I made an error, fatal error. So many people make fatal errors on their application because they wrote the date wrong, they wrote the address wrong. But I had a date wrong, and then I had another N4, which was the actual one that went all the way through the eviction. And that one, my tenants had requested a stay, a review, all of
Mhm.
them which were denied. But
Oh, you're lucky.
oh yeah, very lucky. I have heard people have multiple stays right now and just goes around and around in a circle,
Mhm,
and they're still stuck
mhm,
in the situation. So I
mhm.
got very lucky where the board saw right away that they were not being truthful, gave a denial, rejection, and we went straight to the eviction.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, it was actually in the news recently that a tenant was owing 56,000 between utilities and non-payment rent. Hired a lawyer. She got the eviction order came through, and then she hired a lawyer, and then she got a stay.
Oh.
Uh, So for those who don't know, a stay means you don't. Now it's to be determined when the tenant will be out.
Yeah, it basically means it's an unenforceable order.
Yeah,
Yeah, which stinks.
yeah. So you see why I can't, in good conscience, recommend anyone buy a rental property in Ontario?
I can see why. I think another reason that landlords end up in situations like this is that sometimes they actually aren't doing their own due
Oh
diligence, for
yeah.
one, right? And they also lack the knowledge and the education about running a rental business. They think that it's passive income, and it is not passive income.
It's a small business.
Yes, it is a small business, and they should treat it like one where they can run it compliantly, or they should be running it compliantly, and one that treats their tenants with respect.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah. So tell us more about OpenRoom. How does it work?
How does it work? OpenRoom, you go into our site and then you would search for a name or an address of someone if you are a landlord and you want to vet your next tenant. If there is a record that shows up, then you would want to read what's that record about? Is it for an eviction case? Is it for non payment of rent? And that way you can look at it and make a more informed decision on whether or not you want to rent to that person.
Hmm.
From a tenant's perspective, we have many renters who actually search our site as well, where they search for their next landlord or housing provider or property management firm and see if
Yes.
there's anything that shows up saying they don't take care of maintenance. That is one of the top ones.
Hmm,
Or bad faith evictions.
hmm,
That's the other one.
hmm. Nice. A two-way street.
Yes, we do look at it as a two-way street of holding people accountable for their actions.
Right.
So that's the primary of what OpenRoom offers the world and how we first got started. But now we're diving into now if you have a court order, how do you put it to more use? Because some of the sentiment in the rental market is, oh, if I get a court order from the landlord-tenant board or any of these tribunals, it's like, okay, I'll get to the eviction, but I'll probably never get to collect rent. What we want to say is, why do we have that sentiment? How can we change that
Hmm.
sentiment? So now we're going into rental debt. If you have rental debt owing on that order, you want to send it into OpenRoom and let us help you report it to Equifax every month. On the 15th of the month, we will do all of the calculations. So you're not punching in any money. We'll do it because we know the factual numbers from the order, and then we'll calculate it. We'll send it to Equifax to impact the score. Over the last month, we have actually verified with multiple tenants and their landlords that it actually landed on the credit score, credit report. So that was very awesome.
What's the feedback you're getting from both sides, from landlords and from tenants?
The responsible landlords and the responsible tenants love what we are doing because they see the future that we're trying to build. We're trying to get to a world where there's transparency and there's connectedness in the rental ecosystem. And what do I mean by that? It's transparency. You should know when someone doesn't pay rent. You should know. So how can we share that information with you, which is what we have embarked on doing. And then the connected side is that there are millions of tenants, hundreds of thousands of landlords out there. How can we build something that connects the community together? Knowledge that you have about Ontario or even in the States, investing in the States, how can you share more of that? I think that the more that we can share, the better future we will build.
A lot of time about sharing. Where can people find the website?
Where you can find the website is www.openroom.ca. Spelt as is, open room, ROOM.ca.
Where's the HQ come from?
The HQ, we look at it as like sometimes there are different names that are already taken out there, right? So then we say this is the headquarters. You come here. HQ is headquarters.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's OpenRoom HQ is your
Instagram. Yeah, OpenRoom HQ is Instagram side.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. And so how do you handle the legal landscape?
The legal landscape, because we work very in depth with these court orders, these LTB, landlord-tenant board decisions, even the RTB decisions, we have legal advisors on board. One of our advisors actually a general counsel at a top firm. So we look at it as privacy is super important for us because these are people's legal names that we handle as well as people's addresses. This is really, really personally identifiable information. So how do we treat it with care? So privacy is one of our top concerns. And like many of the big databases out there for legal documents, they're most likely not indexable on Google, which is also the approach that we took. So from legal advice, we have very good legal advice, and those are some of the things that we have rallied around.
Has anyone challenged you on your legal?
Yeah. I mean, people send in all the time that they are really upset at the information.
I mean, have you actually been served anything from a lawyer?
No, we have not because
just lots of talk.
I would say yes, people are very angry and they will message in. But how OpenRoom functions is that we are completely factual, very objective. We do not allow people to send in a review. If you don't have an order and you are down $35,000, unfortunately, that's not something that OpenRoom can help you with at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So it's just court data. There's nowhere for commentary for anyone involved.
No.
It's just data.
Yeah, just pure factual data. And if we ever get challenged on one particular order, we will then go to the courts and request for the original of it. Yeah, so we function very, very factually.
How many times have people requested?
You mean how many times have people contested?
Yeah.
Not many, because they know our approach. And they know that if they contest it, and they have no basis on it, then we're like it wouldn't go anywhere.
Right. And the contested, and the instances where they've been contested, has it ever come back different?
There have been cases where they've contested and they wanted it taken down, but then we went and requested the original, and there was nothing different.
Oh,
yeah.
So there was no reason for the
No reason for the contesting. But the thing is, there has to be a very in-depth investigation that we would do on our side before we go in and request from the courts.
So are they wasting your time or using AI?
Well, I think that there are certain people who think that they can get by with commentaries or disputes process or lying and being unfaithful, a bad faith. Yeah. And we can see right through it. Yeah.
It's tough out there.
It is.
And I mean, it's tough out there in that how unaffordable a lot of things are.
Right.
Like you mentioned how when your family first arrived, what the rent was then versus what it'd be today for that exact same property.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Well, I wouldn't want to live in a cockroach infested place again. And I feel for the renters, the great renters who are out there wanting pest control, but yet their landlords are not taking care of it. Those are very unfortunate circumstances.
Mhm.
And hope that this is a call out to the great landlords to take care of those properties.
Mhm. And there's one tenant who had cockroaches in my property because he wouldn't throw out his garbage,
Right.
and then he called the health department on us.
So you mean they brought in the cockroaches?
Well, no, they're essentially feeding them by not throwing out their garbage,
Oh,
right? Remember, I was just talking like you got to resolve the source problem.
yeah.
The source problem is throw out your trash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard though. These pests, they even if you are very clean, but yet if it's infested, they might be in the walls. They might, they are everywhere. And
Yeah.
cockroaches, you might know if you cut off their leg, they're probably gonna come back. They're gonna grow again. Yes.
It was actually a really interesting conversation with the representative from the health department in Hamilton, and I don't know, like he has mental health issues, and she sided with us. Yeah,
Mm,
we sent exterminators like we had to,
yeah.
like I said, if he doesn't clean up after himself, this isn't going to solve anything.
Right. It
Right?
makes the problem even worse.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's worse for him too. He's living in the property.
Yes,
Right?
yes. And when you talk about affordable units, I or affordability, I see it as if landlords were more they have more confidence to bring out their units, then you'd have more supply
Yeah,
in
more
the
competition.
market.
Yeah.
Exactly. More supply means that you can combat the equivalent of the demand, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe there would be not as high inflation of prices going
Mm-hmm.
up, right? Like I follow the rentals dossier rental prices every single month, and it's just really unfortunate, even though it's not growing as fast
Mm-hmm.
as prior years, but you still see rent prices going up.
So, how many of these court cases do you read?
Oh, I read quite a few, and I feel very biased in my worldview sometimes because all I see is the bad, right? So,
But both sides, landlord and tenant.
you mean how many do I read from landlord side, from or submitted by a landlord or submitted by a tenant?
Well, you tell me. Like I always enjoy having guests on the show who have access to a lot of data points
Mm-hmm.
because then because I don't have a lot of access to data
Yeah.
points. So paint us some broad brushstrokes. What do you read? What do you see?
Right now, the majority of what I read are where landlord had filed into the landlord and tenant board, but it doesn't mean that it's the landlord that have shared it with us from a crowdsourced court order perspective,
Hmm.
right? But what I see right now, so some of the ones, there was one that came in where now the landlord is going on about 20 months of non-payment of rent, about $50,000. This tenant, what had they done? They had gone to the landlord and tenant board about 8 times. This Why is it? It's because this tenant had done what we were saying earlier, constant reviews and stays. They actually submitted a fraudulent bank draft stating that they had paid the landlord. And what is it? Well, it's obviously fake. It wasn't true, but yet the landlord and tenant board sided with the tenant side and granted the stay. So, multiple cases like that they had done, or they showed up in front of the hospital but wasn't actually at the hospital, but stating that they had health complications or issues and that's why they couldn't make it to the hearing. These are some of the reasons that people are getting granted their stays. And this is a case that is still ongoing. Erwin, still ongoing. So we're now on 20 months and counting.
It's still going.
Yes, the tenant is still there. Not yet at eviction day.
This is Ontario.
This is Ontario. Welcome to Ontario.
You think
Yes.
you've ever invest here again?
I would want to be an investor again. If I wasn't building OpenRoom, I would like to be a heavier housing provider so that I could build a better rental business. And with the knowledge that I know, I believe that I can do way better than I was 2 years ago.
Where would you do it?
I would still try Ontario again and then maybe learn with you to go into the States. But I heard, tell me a little bit more about what you know in, say, BC or Alberta.
Oh, you're not out there?
Pardon me?
You're
No,
not.
no, no. I mean, like, what do you see in terms of people investing in there? Is it
Is
good
OpenRoom
rates?
strictly Ontario?
No, OpenRoom
Or
is across Canada,
yeah.
but we mainly focus in Ontario because we haven't
Interesting.
fully captured everything in Ontario yet, right? And how we see it is that you need to dominate in one place before you spread yourself too thin.
Right.
But
Right.
we still have,
Work with the model here.
yeah, we still have very avid supporters all across Canada.
Yeah.
BC being one of them.
BC is probably number 2 for challenges.
Yeah.
Their RTB is not as bad as the LTB, but still pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they are between sort of probably somewhere between 3 and 5 months delay to get a hearing
Right.
for non-payment of rent. Quebec is pretty bad as well.
Yeah.
Canada's pretty broken, and I'm sure New Brunswick won't be far behind because they just voted a liberal government in. They didn't like the conservative government that had 6 balanced budgets in their 8-year term, 2 terms, total of 8 years. So no, we don't want balanced budgets. We want rent control. So now they're gonna have rent control next year of 3%. So we'll probably start seeing more problems out there.
Mm.
Um, yeah, the country's it's really sad. I used to be an incredibly proud Canadian. I don't know how we recover.
Right. I mean, I used to not be in the rental industry as in depth as I am now. Since my tenancy situation, I've spent thousands of hours dissecting this. So now I know way more than I knew before.
Mhm,
But I was not in this industry
mhm,
as much before. I did like side things. I was a housing provider on the side, very minimal
mhm,
knowledge in this. Like many other small housing providers, is
mhm.
we lack the knowledge and we think that it's passive income. I was one of those
Yeah.
ignorant small housing providers, and I wish that I knew more back in the day.
And then the first step would have been just to go invest somewhere that's landlord friendly. For example, if you made the same mistakes in Alberta, for example, or in landlord friendly USA, it would not be like this.
Okay. Well, you know what? Even in Alberta, we have some super fans over there as well, and they have their own issues too. They do tell me that it is much better than Ontario in terms of the laws that we have
Yeah.
here for housing providers or landlords,
Mhm.
but they have also, like many of them, have gone through headaches as
Mhm.
well from a damages perspective, and even some of them have non-payment of rent that led into more issues.
It's just not on the scale. Like I've never heard of. Again, I have lots of friends who are very sophisticated investors. So tenants gone in 30 days
Yeah.
for non-payment. So if you're gone in 30 days, you don't have a lot of time to trash the place, right?
Yes.
Intentionally or unintentionally, like the stories I shared with you before, where just someone's health failed,
Yes.
right? So it's unintentional. The place got trashed, but it still got
Yes.
trashed, and it's on the landlord,
I hear you.
right?
Yeah.
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 And like it's a saying that we've had in the industry for a long time is if you either learn the LTB RTA how to be a landlord, or the tenant will teach you. Which will you prefer? Right?
That's a very good saying.
Right.
Yes.
Like we
Mhm.
unfortunately that was our first tenant back in 2000, what was it, 2007-ish, 2005, 2007-ish, somewhere around there, and like they taught us.
Wow.
We didn't know what N4 was.
Right.
When we went to deliver it, the tenant goes, "Oh, is that an N4?" It was in an envelope. They couldn't see it. They already knew what it was. Like
Wow.
crap. We're learning from them.
Wow.
Right.
And that's the thing. A lot of the small landlords will think, oh, yeah, I know my rights. But the thing is, you not only need to know your rights, but you need to know the rights of your tenants
Mhm,
as well.
mhm.
And that's how you then connect the dots.
It's just for my clients, I don't like most of them don't want to do this.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like yourself. They have young families. They have busy careers. Like they don't have time to absorb all of this, go learn all this to be a professional real estate investor. So like, I think there's better options. But that's boring stuff. Let's talk more about. Let's talk more about. Tell us more about how you monetize the business. Why are you doing this?
Yes. There are,
Oh, actually, before we even
yeah.
got that, like you guys are really popular. I think like your Instagram's like over 10,000 followers.
Yes.
What happened? How did you guys get so popular?
Well, because we talk and we share from a very authentic, raw perspective of don't make the same mistakes that we Ting, as the CEO of OpenRoom, made, right? So we talk a lot about the failures that I made. Said how did I lose 35,000? What are the rights of the landlord? What are the rights of the tenant? So we share a lot out there for free, and people find our content very helpful to them, and that's why they follow our work on Instagram.
Mhm.
Yes. And then word of mouth. Like when we first started, it wasn't like I was sitting at home thinking, wow, OpenRoom is going to be this $1 billion company. I'm going to quit my job right away. It
Mhm.
was, we're on a mission. We're on a real mission to hold people accountable. And this is one way we're going to do it. And we're going to see what happens. And so at the beginning in September 2022, when we launched the website, it went viral word of mouth. So over the last couple of years that we've been around, it was pure word of mouth. We don't go out there pushing it down people's throats. It's because people talk about OpenRoom because they truly find us valuable.
I think it was actually Kayla from Ontario Landlord Watch that first I first noticed it in her feed.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I think I first saw learned about OpenRoom.
Yes. And how we have gone around from a word of mouth perspective, the organization Small Ownership Landlords of Ontario solo group had been instrumental in our growth. So from the very beginning, they were actually the first ones. Rosemarie and Booba, Kevin, the Varun at Solo were the first ones that word of mouth kept telling people about OpenRoom. And then we went from my 7 orders inside OpenRoom to now thousands of orders inside OpenRoom. And you will not see another company with the same set of fresh, relevant, timely orders as OpenRoom.
How many orders do you think you have?
Right now, we are at about $26,000 orders inside the system. And that is fresh ones. Like you can go onto our system, you can see when's the latest N4 that we've collected. And it could be as latest as yesterday's. And right now, we also tabulate how much money of unpaid rent was owed across all of our orders inside the system. And we're looking at about over $175 million of unpaid rent in Ontario right now. That is insane, Erwin. Yeah.
You still think people want to be a landlord in Ontario?
I say don't give up. Don't give up. I mean, you see, there's an election coming up. Maybe some things will change.
The U.S. election? No, I'm kidding.
Maybe. Well, we'll see. I still have hopes that there will be good stuff coming, and if more landlords band together, more great renters band together, if it would be a great world if, say, some of the tenant advocacy groups see the root causes or root issues of why some of these issues exist. I think it could be a really, really great world if both sides can work together.
I find the challenge is that a lot of politicians and a lot of those tenant groups think largely short term.
Yes.
So short term, what they are driving landlords to do is sell. And then by selling, that'll create inventory, right? But that's short term because that removes rental inventory.
Right. But then don't all the big financial institutions pick it up? Or like the REITs, the
That's
corporates?
what people say. So I literally had a conversation with someone from Core Development Inc. not that long ago, just probably 2-3 months ago. Like they're literally in the Globe and Mail. They own like I think it was last year when they were in the Globe and Mail. They owned 550 houses in Ontario.
Yeah.
That's big.
550 is not that big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And common belief is that they were one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trust REIT owner of single family homes in Canada.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Like I heard there's someone out in Quebec that's trying to do something like 700 houses, but that's 700 houses.
Yeah, that's not that big. But
It's not.
you see, I see these REITs as taking the opportunities right now to go and pick up some of those distressed homes. So many of us small landlords might be selling and then they'll pick it up and they're growing their portfolio.
I don't see the business case for it unless they're playing for that long term where there's so little rental inventory that rents just go up. But again, you have to suffer from there's rent caps.
Yeah, it's true.
And then also if you go to sell, you need the tenant to leave.
Yes.
And then you're paying what? 35,000 get them to leave?
Right.
Right.
But you know what? There were some very interesting startups that were in the industry. I was at the Rockstar event, and there was a company that is tearing down, say, single family homes and then building, say, 10 units inside there. Right? That's actually really interesting in very prime locations, too.
Yes.
Yeah. That was what inspired me to be like, oh, if I wasn't doing OpenRoom, what would I be doing?
Right.
And that might be a path that I would pursue later on.
And then for everyone interested in doing development, I always recommend them join your local builders association. I've had the CEO of West End Builders Association on this show, And when you go network with them, there are people financially suffering,
Yeah.
builders and developers.
Wow.
Some small and medium ones are getting wiped out, and they will get consumed by the big ones,
Right.
right?
Right.
So again, like there's no easy. There's a nice gentleman. I forget his name right now, but he builds. I think he was at the event. He actually builds garden suites, uh, and his development charges are $70,000 in
Mm.
Kitchener. And it's not from the city; it's from the region.
Right.
But still, $40,000 to $70,000 just development charges. Right? This is just an uphill battle. So I poke them. For what it costs you to build that garden suite, you could probably have a house or two in the States and no rent control.
So you're all about the United States now.
Again, I went to business school. Like I
Yes.
studied finance and business.
Yeah.
Like we like if you we were talking. I was telling you about that ChatGPT prompt I did, right? And I just posted on my Facebook, right? What Canadian city or town ranks ahead of the top 100 cities or towns in landlord-friendly USA, right? And the answer is none.
Mm-hmm.
So where is the business case? We can go through the exercise of doing the business case. It will not look good though,
Right.
right? Like again, you have a possible worst case scenario of 50 grand owing and ongoing,
Ongoing.
right?
The average case, though, right now, if you have a non-payment of rent,
Oh boy,
tenant, it's about $16,000 average.
right?
If
Which
you're lucky, maybe you're gonna go into the like 5,000 range if you got it right away and you know what you're doing. But many people then wait or their application gets lost, and it's average. That's what we're seeing.
right? Which is why most professional investors will all go ahead
Yeah.
readily offer 5-10,000 for cash for keys.
Yes. Let me tell you another interesting case.
Sure.
Because many of these cases, I actually meet the person or parties behind the cases.
Oh,
Um, well, because many of I get a lot of fan mail too, so I'll pat myself on the back there. And so many of them want to chat or want to tell me their story. So this one, super interesting, is in Toronto, super posh penthouse suite. This tenant rented it out, gave fraudulent documents. It was vetted by a realtor. And guess what she used the space for? What? Do you know?
Like a brothel? Like what?
Close. It was for adult content. Yeah.
Like filming?
Yeah. Because you have very nice
That's a lot better than a
apartment.
brothel. If you're gonna choose.
It's true. But yeah, she didn't end up paying rent, and
not paying rent.
yes, and you know what? The costs exceeded the $35,000 threshold that you can go to the LTB or the small claims court for, right, to recover. So you should actually, if you have over $35,000 owing, go straight to the next court system, which is the Superior Court.
Oh,
Superior or Supreme Court, but the next one. Don't go to the
skip
LTB.
small claims.
Skip it, because
Oh, no kidding.
otherwise the limit is $35,000.
So
And
why bother with small claims?
exactly, and don't wait for the LTB. Go straight to the next one, because if you go to the LTB, with some of these cases that we have seen that exceed the $35,000 limit, is like, say for example that 50,000 one, it ends up being where the LTB will only award you the 35,000. So go straight to the next. And go. I think that when you go to, not I think, I know that when you go to the next level, you do need to have a lawyer on tap. No more self-representation at that point. Yeah.
So I have this joy in my life in that I'm able to offer wonderful real estate that helps people versus a lot of the terrible real estate in Ontario. Do you get joy out of this business? Because I'm trying to go into how do you make money with this business?
I see. I find it.
Like you're getting fan
Very.
mail
Yeah.
and you're making money. Like that's you can't get more win-win.
I love what I do right now. I'm still very deep into it, very early on into it, because we're about 2 years in, right? But how I see it is that I'm on a real mission over here, and we're not just a software business. Yes, we are powered by software, but how I see it is that people are following OpenRoom, or following our journey, because they believe in what we're trying to do in holding people accountable for their actions. They see the future. They want to be part of this rocket ship that we're on.
Mhm.
I find immense joy in that, and I'm so happy that people want to be part of this journey. So we have many people who we declare as OpenRoom super fans, and they would get packages from us, like a thank you appreciation, because they've done so much for us.
Mhm.
For example, there was this random fan that commissioned a radio ad for us. Yeah, I kid you not. He just like forwarded an email. I'm like, what is this email? Because it had no content in it other than you read through the thread and you're like, oh, he's talking to someone in the media about running this ad on one of the channels on the 90 point something. And then I listened to it and oh my God, it cracked me up so hard because I literally sat back that day and I called my co-founder and I said, this is why we do it, because there are people who believe in what we're doing and they're going above and beyond what OpenRoom is here for, and they're advertising or they're promoting us in their community.
I wonder how much that ad cost.
You know what? I don't know.
And then
I never asked.
And then they had to produce it themselves, likely.
No. They did not produce. They paid an agency to do it. It was fabulous. I kid you not. 30 seconds of some of the most amazing content that I've heard. I just loved it.
Just start a crowdfunding campaign for your own marketing.
Well, you know what? Back in January, we did a little bit of a crowdfunding. We said, hey, folks, if you believe in what we are doing, share $100 with us.
Yeah.
All right. And within 48 hours, we got 111 people donating $100 to us. And we were like, that was the impetus that said people believe in the mission, the vision of what we're trying to build. And that's when we decided we were going to go do this full time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was one of the impetuses. I mean, other than, metrics of how many visitors, how many people were interested.
Yes. Yeah. What kind of metrics can you share?
I can share that right now we have over 30,000 visitors on our site every single month. We are conducting like hundreds of thousands of searches for individuals searching the site every month. These are, and we also, like in terms of our rental debt product, like people who come in and share their court orders with us and wanting to report to Equifax, hundreds of those since we started 2 months ago. So we just started that one and we're seeing hundreds of people interested in it. That's pretty awesome for us, because what we're saying to the community is thank you for believing in us. We've got so much more to do to hold people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Justin Trudeau wants rent reporting to credit reports.
Yes, the good on-time rent reporting. Right now, we're focused on the bad debt. If you've got bad debt, I want to know about it. Right. Share it with me. So this is a call out to your community. If you've got bad debt in that court order, I want to see it. I want to help you get it onto their credit report so that it can negatively impact their credit history.
What about good tenants? Can you report?
Good tenants will come a little bit later. Not yet. Not yet. Good tenants, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, don't show up on your radar. Because there is a radar now.
Yeah, but some of the other ways, because you were going down the monetization route, right? Mm-hmm. We service some of the business clients in the rental ecosystem, such as tenant screening companies or the REITs or the property management companies. So, for example, tenant screening companies like Single Key. Starting November 1st, 2024, so it's already live right now, when you pull a Single Key report, tenant screening report, there is a data point inside that report that says an OpenRoom check. Did it pass? Or was there a hit? Was there a likely match? So we actually exist on that report. Mm-hmm. So that is one way that we are getting the court order information that people are sharing with us, that we've aggregated across Canada into distribution channels like tenant screening reports.
And then if they find something, can you click on it and expand on it?
Yes, you go straight into the order that led to that record inside the tenant screening report.
That reminds me, Villar's supposed to come back on the show to share updates.
Yes, yeah. Call him and he'll tell you all about this, because this was a long time in the making. Villar's fantastic. He's been working with us for a while, and he was actually, when we were still doing OpenRoom part-time last year, he actually reached out to us and asked us if this was available. And originally we had shared with him that this is not available yet because we were focused on some of the other priorities. But then now this year we got it live, we got it running, and before the holidays. So it's a gift to all of the housing providers out there to make more informed decisions.
Yeah, I've been telling clients forever, use Single Key for tenant screening, front lobby for rent reporting, and now we have OpenRoom available as an option as well.
Yes. That's right.
You guys should just buy each other and then just all be one happy,
Yeah.
everything in one
Yeah.
place.
But you know what? One thing I'll say about Front Lobby that they do very, very well in is that because OpenRoom only accepts it from a court order perspective, right? For rental debt, from Front Lobby, you can actually approach Front Lobby if you are a housing provider that has a tenant who doesn't pay rent right away before you have the credit, before you have the court order. But whereas on our side, we say we have to have the court order because on our side, we are functioning on the factual and objectiveness, right? I can't take anything before that. But if you want to do more before that court order, you could and probably should try out Front Lobby.
And then shout out Front Lobby, they implemented the collection, they added collections as well recently.
Collections with a collections agency.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's another topic that maybe we need to have a whole other podcast about, whether or not people should go to collections agencies, what the outcomes look like, and just make more informed decisions.
Do you have data on that?
Data, as I have anecdotal data, but I don't have strict data on it. But I just know that you need to make a more informed decision about all of the options that are out there to collect rent. From a collections agency perspective, they take about anywhere from 20 to 55% of whatever that is collected, right? And some of them do not all work in equal terms. Some of them just really look at your file and be like, Erwin, 10,000 owing, $20,000 owing. You're like, yeah. You're like at the bottom.
We're looking for his $50,000 evil.
Or more, right?
And then they buy the data. The collection companies, they buy the data feed from you. Who's got 50,000 owing and more?
There have been collections agencies that have approached us that wanted to work with us. But here's a call out: if you are a collections agency listening to this, and you believe that you want to do more from a technical perspective and build something really, really awesome in the community of rental ecosystem, call me. Give me a shout out. I haven't searched for, or I haven't found a good partner just yet on that end.
Who else do you want to contact you? Like the single keys and the companies like that?
Yeah.
Because you were sharing before we were recording, you are the data source for a lot of, you were already talking about, you were the data source for a lot of vendors already out there.
Yes, if you are a property management company or a REIT that wants to look into automated searches, so we on OpenRoom we will do all of the combinations of searches. So if you're searching in the thousands each year, reach out to us. We can find you a better solution than manually searching today. Manually searching is free, so for anybody who's listening, you can actually go onto OpenRoom and do it for free. I forgot to mention that. But if anybody wants to do more advanced combos of searches, that's where we come in and help out businesses.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have several of them already, like the Effort Trust, the Starlight Investments, those types of folks?
Not Starlight. Starlight, if Starlight is listening, please say hi. But we have several customers already doing automated searches. Yes.
This like to me, this is how it should be. There should be nowhere to hide if you open. And sorry, with these court orders, does it like say the tenant does pay off, like say whatever happened, like they had health issues, divorce, whatever, and then they pay the money back. How does that record? Does it get cleansed at all?
From a court order perspective, OpenRoom can't be playing God. We do not remove any orders, even if it has been paid, right? We don't delete. So everything is visible on there. What we're looking at is, well, should there be an indicator that someone has paid?
Right.
Or is it that it will invade someone's privacy? So those are some of the things that we're checking through, and we don't have a solution or answer just yet, but it is something that we're actively looking at.
Well, if the tenant's smart, they should submit that with their application.
To the next landlord, you mean? Yeah. I
like, this is going to show up on my credit. I paid it off. Here's the proof of payment.
Right.
I had this happen, lost my job, got divorced, whatever it was. And then to me, like, you stand out ahead.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, you pay your debts, like, you stand out ahead of someone I don't know.
Yeah. There are many tenants who go through unfortunate circumstances. Absolutely. And we hope that they will get a second chance or a third chance at getting a good rental again. Absolutely.
What's next? What's next for OpenRoom? Because this is your priority.
Yes.
This is your full-time gig.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, one of the top priorities on my side, my job, is to educate the community some more. So yes, we also have a training program that we make available from a Mandarin perspective as well as English perspective. We work with paralegals as well as former real estate agent, commercial real estate agent Christopher CP, on some of the content that we work on. But really, the next step is for me to educate the community, me coming out with more of the content. And I hope to deliver some of that for free to the community. The more that people can get educated, the better our whole ecosystem will be.
Did you ever think you'd be here when you were working at corporate and tech?
You know what, Erwin? I always thought that I would build something. I was waiting for the right problem to solve, the right solution to solve it, the right time, and if I would be the right person to solve it. So I wasn't ever in a rush to be like, I need to go start my own business, but I was on the side of caution of, will I have an unfair advantage of what I want to do if I'm going to go and commit and do this? And right now, I believe that I'm the best person fit to do this. And that's why I'm on this mission, and also recruited my partner in life to do this with me. Yes.
How is it working with your partner in life?
My partner in life, I would say, is one of the best choices that I've made. So in the world, just in general, when we look at our career, I think you have to really look at who you marry. And one of the most important decisions is, who do you marry? And I'm sure that you picked fantastically. No, you did well. You did well. Cherry is awesome, and we all know that, right? And though the partner that you have in life, they will support you in the decisions that you make and help elevate what you want to do in the future. And I believe that I have picked very well in that respect. And it's not that I just picked any engineer off the street. Vishal and I, we have known each other since high school. We went to the same high school, fell in love in high school, and grew up together over the last over a decade together, right? So I look at it as, he's the best engineer that I could have beside me doing this. And it doesn't hurt that he has a couple acquisitions under his belt. Yeah.
Acquisitions of what? You used to work in mergers and acquisitions? Oh.
No, he used to work with a couple of startups that was acquired by big companies in the States. Yeah.
And is that something that you're looking at doing for exit?
You know what? That's too early to tell right now. I think that right now we're looking for our first full stack engineer hire. We're so small, or like so super small, right? But how we looked at it was, in 2024, Vishal and I sat down and said, do we have an opportunity here to go do something even bigger in 2025? And right now we believe so. So we're taking it one step at a time, but we see a bright 2025. And that's why we're going now investing in a couple hires. I think it's going to be wonderful 2025.
Where's the money coming from? Just self-funded business?
Right now, we are not VC funded. We are bootstrapped. So it is a fully funded bootstrapped business by ourselves. Yes. So but it's not just by ourselves. It's because we have enough customer revenue also to fund the growth of OpenRoom.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's what we're up to.
Yeah, at Share, we were using this software to crowdfund. So everything's like, all the paperwork's taken care of. I can show it to you afterwards. Actually, your husband probably is familiar with it.
Well, okay, I don't know about my husband. Maybe I know about it.
Yeah. We can talk about it after this.
Sure. Wait, so you do crowdfunding?
No, Share did it.
Oh, okay, for something. Okay, good stuff.
I don't know if the term is correct. When they were doing an equity raise,
Yeah,
they're using a service for it.
yes. Yeah, there are different ways of raising money, and one could be to crowdfund from the community. And we see a lot of product companies do it, right? Like if you have a physical product and you raise it like a Kickstarter, that could be a really good route.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I could see you guys having interest. If people are giving money to ad agencies to create ads for you, I'm sure they'd probably want an equity piece of your company.
We have some very interested individuals, and when we are looking for angels or more funders, if anybody is interested, I'm happy to chat, but we just haven't opened it up for external folks that don't see the vision of where OpenRoom is trying to get to.
What is the vision?
The vision is for that transparent and connected rental ecosystem. And then the mission to get there is to hold people accountable. And if people really, really resonate with that, I'm open, and people can contact me. I'm sure you'll have my contact information in there, and I'd love to chat more with folks.
Just share right now, like your website, Instagram, cell phone number, whatever you like.
Yeah. Well, it's Weiting at openroom.ca. So that's WEITING at openroom.ca. So you can message me straight there, or you go to the website, www.openroom.ca, or find us on Instagram at openroomhq. It'll be me behind all of those channels because we're super small. You message in. I don't have any bots. I don't have any external EAs or personal assistants. It's me, Weiting. You'll get to me. I will be the customer service.
And then what is the vision technologically? Like, are you expanding, or just going? Oh yeah, you mentioned that you just want to perfect things in Ontario and then expand. Do you have to go province by province, or can you do this national wide at the same time?
We are national wide, but we focus in Ontario. When we go to each province, we absolutely have to look at every jurisdiction and make
Mm,
sure that our legal team knows what we're doing and vet through
right.
what we're going through in terms of the process. From a technological perspective, the vision behind it is that we build software. Like our fundamentals, our background is in building software. But where is it that we can actually solve a real problem? We're
Mhm.
not here just to build features and like shove it down people's throats. No, we look at it as, will that offer true value to the rental ecosystem? And if it does, you bet we're going to make it 100 times better.
So you're getting court orders. Can you tell us, other than Ontario, who's next? Who gets the most orders?
The next one would be Alberta right now.
Oh,
Yeah, Saskatchewan has quite a bit as well. But I would say, yeah,
they're
BC,
ahead of BC.
they're
I
ahead of
just look
BC.
at just look at population. You would think
Yeah,
BC would be clearing away set number two.
BC has a little bit of a challenge here because BC, some landlords or some of the like decisions you'll see, they redact the names and they'll
Uh,
anonymize it. Like they'll take it out of the official orders. So many people in BC think that they're not allowed to upload or share this,
yeah.
right? But how we see it and where we've spoken to many of our legal advisors is that there are opportunities for people to upload because if it gets to an order, there's a writ, there is that official decision afterwards where it's not just the beginning decision. Like there's an opportunity to upload. So I think that from our side, we need to do more education
Right.
out there to make sure that people feel more comfortable doing it.
Right.
Is just as a mini small startup, how we see it is that we have to focus, right? We can't be throwing our hands and our hat in all these other provinces at full immense depth like the way that we've done for Ontario. But when we're ready for that at full deep length, we will go hard on those. I mean, we still get landlords or tenants who contribute from other provinces, but it's not at the same volume as
Hmm.
Ontario. No, Ontario, we we get thousands every
Right.
month.
Like you mentioned, like the average rental arrears in Ontario is like 16,000. What do you know what it might be for province by province territory?
No, I don't have the numbers right now for province by province because we haven't fully
Right.
analyzed each province. But next time I come on your podcast, I'll be sure to provide you with those stats.
If you were to guess, do you think anyone would be worse than Ontario for average rental arrears?
I don't think so. Not in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because other provinces might have, say, in BC, there is I think it's called the 10-day auto eviction, or at least you don't need to go fully into courts. Like you could file to their residential tenancies board and get an order without going fully, right? So they have laws like that you don't need to go fully and wait for that amount of time.
There's a tough one. What would your advice be to someone who is in a dispute right now?
Depends on what kind of dispute. So it could be, say, for example, two ways. If you have not discussed cash for keys yet, and you want, as a housing provider, you want this tenant out, could potentially be a path for discussion. Not saying that I condone it, but it could be because earlier you were mentioning that someone did it for 30,000 even though it's the highest amount, but they didn't have to go through the mental and legal distress that some of us went through,
Hmm.
right? So potentially could be, and there are mediators out there. So we
Hmm.
work with legal representatives or mediators
Hmm.
that can negotiate on my behalf, kind of ordeal. The other side is if you're like really deep into it, know that there are support groups like Solo where they have a hotline. You can call in and get some emotional support, or landlord self-help. You know what? I know you're laughing, but that was actually what saved my sanity back in the day, because I knew that I would prevail. I knew that eventually I will win this case and get to eviction. I just have to wait. But that sucks. The waiting part sucks. That would be what I would say, because I don't really condone the unethical routes, if you know what I mean. But we have heard of some wild stories.
It's better off just to pay. But again, like this is just a
I mean,
landlord self help. We haven't talked about them for ages. Oh,
Yeah.
do you have much dealing with landlord self help center?
No, not from OpenRoom, but Hart at Rent Panda sits on the board of Landlord Self Help, and they have
Barry
been
used to sit on their board too.
Oh, okay, great.
Long time ago.
I mean, they are doing good work in terms of content, right? And getting industry professionals go out there, like the RHEU, I heard, was one of their speakers. So Rental Housing Enforcement Unit, folks went out there. So they have connections to government agencies that go out and educate. So I feel like they give good content, educational content.
Amazing. Now, how can anyone else help you?
Ooh, you can help OpenRoom by, like what Erwin did, which is invite us on a podcast. I'd love to chat with more people and share with your community. Number two is share OpenRoom with others. If you know people who have been in a situation where they have a court order, please share it with us, or tell them to share it with us. We take their data very seriously, and we look at all of the legal implications. And then third way is, if they have rental debt, try out what OpenRoom has on the rental debt ledger and let us, or trust us, to help you report it to Equifax. So that is some of the ways that I would say to help us. But help yourself by learning. You don't have to learn with OpenRoom, but learn somewhere. Like take a course on how to run a rental business. Stay educated and protect yourself.
Yeah, prevention. What is the term? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of the cure.
Yeah, don't be so reactive like me. I mean, my reactivity turned me into being going on this mission, but you don't need to be like me, right? You learn in advance, be proactive about it, because listening to this podcast is actually another form of already learning.
Right. So take your past tenant, for example. Did you post their rental readers put it on their Equifax?
Yes.
And then have they done anything with it?
You know what, Erwin, good question. Mine is going in on November 15th, now that you ask. So yes, because I reported it through another means, and what Equifax had announced or shared with us is that if they've already been reported in another means, you have to take them off of the other one before you can pursue on another side. So what I've done is remove the other one, report through OpenRoom now. Yeah, but I am actually the guinea pig of a lot of what we do. Yes.
Right. So is the challenge safe if you report on front lobby, you can't also report on OpenRoom?
Ideally, you would not, because that would be technically unfair for the tenant. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Technically, yes.
Right. Well, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. It depends on whether it was reported correctly or not.
Right.
So sometimes it doesn't hit correctly. So then you could try another software or another company to report it.
Got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention your competitor.
No. How I see it is that there's a world where we can all work very nicely together, right? And there are services that Front Lobby doesn't, that they do that we don't do. Such as, we only look at it from a court order perspective, but they can go before the court order. So that's an advantage that they've got on their side. They've got a bigger team and they've got it all sorted out from that perspective, whereas we don't look at it prior to the court order. So from that perspective, I think that it's actually very appropriate to talk about Front Lobby and how great that they are doing on that front.
Yeah, because their origin story is similar to yours. Tenants owed them a bunch of money, and that's how Front Lobby's that's how Zach then used Front Lobby, met the owner, founder, bought it from him, took it to the next level.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, I'm just not as a big as a housing provider as Zach. Yeah.
Zach has a big portfolio.
I just have one single one that had the very bad tenancy situation.
Did they leave it in good shape?
You know what? I was very lucky on that. When the sheriff,
What?
when the sheriff came in, said, "Weiting, you are so lucky because this looks pretty pristine." And I was like,
What?
heck yes. Whew. Saved me some damage costs. I mean, at the end of the day, I still had to pay for a lot of the cleanup, the junk removal, the painting, repainting of the house. But from what I see in the community today of some of the open room supporters, oh man, I got very, very lucky. Yes.
You just got lucky.
I'll count my lucky stars there.
Yeah, because usually things don't go well.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I was also left with a water bill. You know how water bill in Ontario or many
Many municipalities, just
yeah,
throw on
many
your property
municipalities.
tax. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where the water bill ends up being on your property tax. Yep, I got landed with a good $700 bill there.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, and those are some of the costs that aren't included in the 35,000 when we look at it, because at that time I was so mentally exhausted that I was like, if I could even just get $1 back, which to this date I have not yet. Okay, so there will be a day potentially
Mhm.
that I could, but it's not today.
Do you think you go to collections?
Collections, I think for me will be one of the things that I'll look at, but not today, not yet, because I still have a couple other things I want to try as my own. I'm my own guinea pig. I have a couple other things to try.
I know, but someone might be listening, want to volunteer to be your collection agency.
It's true. It's true. Please contact me if that is the case, and we can discuss. All right. But how I see it is that if I can make my own situation work, then other people will trust what I'm doing.
I know, but someone might out there might want to prove themselves to you, and you can be the guinea pig for their collection services.
Love it. Love it. Give me a call, please.
We only have 17 listeners, though, so they may not happen. Unlikely to happen.
You say that, but you're one of the top podcasts.
I don't know who lied to you about that.
It's in your email signature.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a Google document. That's private.
Okay.
It doesn't go public.
All right, fine.
We're out of time. Weiting, any final words you'd like to share with the audience?
I just like to say a huge thank you to anybody who is listening to this episode, because OpenRoom started as super grassroots and we are still very grassroots. Our community of supporters and listeners to podcasts, our community members, like these are the people that make OpenRoom work. So really just from the bottom of my heart, thank you for inviting me onto this podcast, and thank you for everybody who cares enough to want to listen to this episode. Thank you.
All right, friends, that wraps up another episode of the Truth About Real Estate Investing show for Canadians. Hope you got as much out of this one as I did. Remember that whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, there's always something new to learn, and it's always about building that practical knowledge base that gets you closer to financial freedom. If you found value today, please do us a favor and leave us a review or a rating, share this episode with a friend, or better yet, join our community of real estate investors who are taking action and making moves. And hey, if there's a topic you want us to cover or have there's a certain guest you'd like us to have on the show, drop me a line. My DMs are open on social media. Reply to this email that this have arrived on. I'm not hard to find. We're all about getting you the unfiltered truth to help you on your journey. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay smart, stay curious, and keep building that future. Catch you later.